Hello everyone and welcome to another Oscar video. We are doing La La Land, and the Academy Awards actually just aired like a day or two ago. As the time I'm filming this, it was like I watched Moonlight and I watched La La Land like a way back ago, and then the awards happened, and then there was that controversy with the ending. I'll comment on that maybe in its own video. Like I'll recap like who actually won and my thoughts. But I prefer Moonlight personally. So those are the only two movies so far that I've seen that were nominated for Best Picture. So I guess my choice won. Moonlight was a great movie, but La La Land was a movie I had seen. I don't know how long ago I saw it. It was like a week or two ago, maybe. I'm not sure. I saw it in theaters. Great movie for a theater, and I knew nothing about it. I knew absolutely nothing about it. I didn't even know it was a musical, if that gives you an idea. I just saw Emma Stone, and that was it. That was it. And I knew it was probably going to be Oscar bait. So I walked in, and since I've since to I wasn't originally I was like, okay, let's make a review, but then I was so just overwhelmed with other reviews that were going on at the time, and and I was kind of afraid like my opinions won't really mean anything to anyone, because this is obviously a movie that like either I think it deserves like a strong analysis video, and there's maybe like a bashing video. I don't think my like opinions as this big review would mean anything. My reviews have always just been my opinions, my personal experience, but in a movie like La La Land, I don't know if that's worth anything. So this type of video series where it's just me, webcam, personal thoughts, no one gives a shit. I think that's the only way I could talk about this movie. But the movie was good. Hell yeah, it was good. The opening scene and the traffic thing totally set the tone for the rest of the movie, but the thing is, that opening traffic scene ultimately, for the purpose of the movie, was throwaway. Let's just be honest. It was amazing. It was like its own short film, and I can't give it enough credit. It was amazing, but didn't really serve anything. The next song, with like the girls, getting ready, didn't really care for that. The romance between Gosling and Emma were kind of like the backbone of the movie. It was great. The ending, was very dramatic and very, sentimental. He kind of waited for her, and she kind of moved on, and they both kind of got their dreams to come true. But it wasn't just, oh, dreams come true kind of way. It was actually like, okay, let's be real about this. And even though it came true, they didn't have each other. So it was like this argument of if they would have stayed together, they wouldn't have had their dreams. It was like dreams versus romance, right? And I think that's an interesting idea. The title of La La Land had a lot of different meanings. L.A. La La Land. That dream sequence he had where they were still together. That was kind of like its own La La Land, and I like that. Like the title. The title was great, and La La Land. La La singing musical. Great, great title. It has a lot of different meanings. I think all the actors were great. You know, I think one of the biggest parts to get across with musicals is the segues going from like song or like talking to singing. And there's movies like Frozen, for example, which I thought nailed that on the head, where it was like, and I think more musicals should try like doing this kind of like talking singing, like because you'll hear like rap songs, for instance, where it's like it's all like one big hook, and I think that would work a lot for a musical. But for La La Land, a couple of the songs I was just like, I don't think that's a normal segue. and it's really just not my kind of movie, in all honesty. Like, I love musicals as much as, the next guy, but I don't, like, ugh, like, it's ultimately, like, theater, presented into, television. I know that's a very one-dimensional way to look at it, but, like, in a narrow point of view, let's call it that. From that narrow point of view, I'm not, like, huge into theater. That style of acting is its own world, and I'm not, like, gravitated towards it. My favorite musicals, I guess, would be, like the Disney movies, which are musicals, obviously. Um, Animated musicals, but still musicals. There's just a disconnect, I feel, a lot of times with, like, because ultimately film is ideas. Like, it's just ideas on, like, being presented in footage, and it doesn't have to, like, line up perfectly. You just have to capture the idea and have to capture, and I like Fantasia. It's a fucking movie with pictures and shit, but it flows, it's a movie. And I think more movies could, uh, get more out of them if they took this kind of musical approach where, well, these characters aren't obviously just like in the kayfabe of the story, or maybe they are. It doesn't matter. Are they breaking out into songs? Is that a normal thing in this universe? Who fucking cares? Like, that's one of the liberties, stretches of truth that musicals and stories, it's acceptable. This is kind of just turning into a vlog about musicals. But La La Land as itself, um, I don't think it was like the story for me. I can see why the Oscars ate it up because it was obviously about jazz and this kind of like forgotten music and the art of filmmaking and acting. Oscars love movies about acting because a lot of the um, people voting are old actors. It's just people from the movie business. So obviously, that's a cheap thing about these, because like I've heard like when people talk about their favorite shows or whatever, and sometimes their favorite shows are about professions that are their professions. Like if I saw a movie, I recently talked about Moonlight, where I related to the guy who worked at the diner. So obviously actors are going to relate to these movies about actors. So it's a little unfair that, I mean, not unfair because it's just their little clique and they can do whatever the fuck they want, but to say that that represents all of people, which some people do think, and this is the best standalone movie if you were to look back upon the ages, is kind of bullshit. Not that La La Land won, technically, uh, but I'll talk about that in a future point. Do I love this movie? No. I don't think I'm not gonna ever try to watch this movie ever again. I could have watched it now for this video to rewatch it to get fresher thoughts, but I just watched the trailer and a couple scenes to get myself refreshed, and it kind of just cemented, this is how I feel about the movie. It's good. It's a good movie. It's a good flick, but it's ultimately not my thing. But I'm not like against this movie or anything. Like 7 out of 10, I know for which is what I'm giving it, a 7 out of 10. I know for a lot of people that's like what, or some people are just like who gives a fuck about this movie. Like there were some people tearing up beside me even, because it was sentimental. But other than those plucks at my heart and some catchy songs, I didn't have that personal substance that like drove me to it, and yeah, those are just my thoughts. um I am interested in seeing what all the other movies are for this year. Hi, kitty. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and with that, I leave you.